Do you ever feel like you're working harder and harder, spinning your wheels, but never really making the traction that you want to make? The truth is that we've all been there. And if you stick around for today's video, what I want to share with you is the number one skill set that I learned to really find progress in my business, and that's clarity. So let me show you why clarity is a game changer, not just for your business, but for your life as well. Clarity is the foundation for everything. Think about it. Whatever you can see, you can achieve. And in order for you to start making progress towards anything, you must be able to see that clearly. The challenge that we have in today's world is we have unlimited amounts of distractions. We have pings and dings and notifications, and we have gadgets, and we have iPads and phones and emails. And it makes it really, really hard for us to remain focused on our priorities, or we haven't even identified what our priorities are yet. It wasn't until I learned and I recognized that what you focus on, where you place your time and your attention, is where your business and your life will grow. If we know that, if we understand that about our mind, about where we place our time and attention, then it's really important that we have skill sets and strategies around us that help us manage our time and attention. I used to think that it was all about just working harder, trying harder to create more traction in my business and in my life. If you're anything like me, you want to achieve, you want to create more, you want to be more, you want to make more money, you want to grow your business, you want to grow your family, you want to get in shape, you want to do all those things. And what I recognize is in order to do that, we must become hyper obsessed about where our time and attention is placed. And it wasn't until I created a system of habits and routines to audit my time and attention and my focus, that is when the needle really started to move for me in my business. Think about all of the biggest companies in the world. They understand that your money is no longer the most important asset for companies. It's your attention. That's why they have scientists and psychologists on the back end of Facebook and Instagram and Amazon studying you. They study the way that you think. They study your intuitions. They study your habits. They study the colors that you like, the sounds that you like. They study the way your eyes gaze on the screen, because they know if they can occupy your attention for long enough, then you're likely going to buy. They invest hundreds of millions and bazillions of dollars to getting that right. And so like if they prioritize that, that's who we're battling, right? So think about how much more intentional we need to be in today's economy and today's society to really move the needle, right? So how are we gonna lose weight, stay in shape, manage what we eat, move our business forward, make good decisions with our family? How are we going to do all that when we're battling this ginormous monster? Well, today what I want to do is I want to share with you a few tips and strategies that you can use to be more effective and achieve more of what you really want. So to start, what I want to define for you is a term called deep work. Deep work was coined by a guy named Cal Newport. He wrote a book called Deep Work. Check out his book. Shout out Cal Newport. But he defines deep work as cognitively intense work that only the CEO can do, or only the high-level thinkers can do, right? As opposed to shallow work, these are going to be non-cognitively demanding types of tasks, repetitive tasks that you can train anybody to do with a checklist, right? And the problem that we have to solve is we typically tend to fill our calendar with shallow work. Things like checking boxes, treating patients, paying bills, answering emails, things that don't require high levels of cognitive focus and innovation and creativity. And that keeps us stuck, right? And we typically occupy our calendar with that, right? And so if you only have 40 hours a week and all 40 hours are occupied with that shallow work, things that are grabbing your attention, that are easy to check off the list, we don't have the time, or we don't allocate the time or energy towards those deep work activities. These are going to be things like developing marketing strategies, hiring, getting involved in improving your sales process, managing your statistics, meeting with your biller or financial team, things that require innovation and leadership that actually really move the needle. The next thing that I want to share with you is a tool that I use. It's called your weekly debrief. You can call it either a weekly debrief or a monthly debrief or a quarterly debrief. It doesn't really matter. I recommend starting with weekly because it's a short time frame. And a lot of times if you're starting this type of practice, it's hard to think beyond a week or even a month, right? So start short, and then as you get better at this, you can expand to longer time frames. What I do is I schedule a date with myself, right? Think about it like this. If you need to go to the doctor, let's say you've got a funny looking rash on your shoulder and you need some medication for it. You don't just like tell yourself, I'm going to go to the doctor whenever I want. Like I'll just figure out, I'll do it in between patients, right? That's not the way you do that. What you do is you call the doctor's office and you schedule an appointment, right? And that appointment is scheduled to their calendar, and you put that on your calendar so that you remember that I have to be there in order to create what I need, right? In order to get the outcome that I'm looking for. One of my favorite quotes is, if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done, right? So if you're that intentional about going to the doctor, let's try to practice having the same amount of intensity and intentionality around our deep work, around the work that actually moves our business and life in the direction that we want, right? So this is a date. And what we do is we schedule a weekly, some type of debrief session every week, month, and quarter, right? And so this is a allocated chunk of time that is on your calendar. It doesn't move. You're unavailable, right? Your phone is off, your emails are off. There are no emergencies during that time. You are fully immersed in this activity so that you can plan and prepare for the coming week. The first thing that I do is I debrief my week, right? So I'll look at the previous week. I'll write down, what are some of the wins that I had? What are some of the losses that I had? And more importantly, what are some of the lessons that I learned during that time that I might be able to change or implement into the future? They say, right, that our experiences are actually not our greatest teacher. It's the experiences that we debrief and reflect on and learn from that are our greatest teacher. So developing that habit of debriefing the previous week or debriefing the previous month, recognizing your wins, your losses, and your lessons is really key, being intentional about that time. So step number 1 is debrief. Step number 2 is prioritizing the next week, getting clear on what your priorities are for the upcoming week, writing them down either on your phone or on some type of list so that you can recognize and declare what your 3 commitments are for the upcoming week. Step number 3, and this is the last section of the weekly debrief, it's schedule it. What gets scheduled gets done, where the magic all comes together. I work with practice owners all the time, and I can tell you from experience, not just practice owners, but leaders as well. I have leaders on my team, and I coach and I train them as well. I can tell you from experience that there is a transformation that takes place whenever owners and leaders start to really leverage a calendar the way that it's intended. And so what we want to do is help you build a habit of not just winging it day to day, not just figuring out what to do as things come your way. But what we want to really do is start to become the designer of our intention, the designer of our week, right? And so we do that with a calendar. We preload the calendar with the most important things first. And then that way, when we come to work on Monday morning, we just look at the calendar, press play, and just follow the script, right? Follow the agenda, because we've already predefined what the priorities are. The point is, using the calendar is key, critical. And the reason why I'm harping on that is because it's such an important skill, perhaps the most important skill you can have as an owner or a leader in your organization. But you take those big 3, and that is your deep work, right? That is where you time block large chunks of time, distraction-free, cognitively intense time. And when I say distraction-free, I mean no phones, no emails, no meetings, no nothing. You are unavailable. You are offline. I don't want to be able to find you. I don't want to be able to find you at all. You need to be really, really deeply connected to this work, and you prioritize those things on your calendar first. So that's the weekly preview, right? That's a 3-step process for the weekly preview. And if you commit to that, I guarantee you will make transformative differences in your practice. All right, so we spoke about Clarity. You have found clarity. Clarity is your ability to see, right? What you see, you can achieve, right? If you can see it, you can achieve it. At this point, you have a vision and you've created a plan of attack for the week on the 3 most important things in the week, right? Which is critical. Clarity is the first ingredient to your success. I didn't tell you earlier, but there's actually an ingredient number 2, and that is commitment. There's an intensity level to your commitment to staying on the plan, like following the plan that you set for yourself. Because remember, you're going to go in Monday morning with this awesome plan. And then guess what's going to happen? You're going to get a curveball. You're going to get that unexpected email. You're going to get that unexpected phone call or that unexpected thing that's going to want to derail you. It's going to want to throw you off track. You're going to have all these intentions and excitement about really, really tackling this thing. And then something in your brain is going to say, you should stop that and go focus on this right now because this is really, really important. And here's what I want to tell you. And here's the hard part about this. There's probably very few reasons for you to change your direction and alter the plan. And if you decide to alter the plan, then it's probably, not all of the time, but it's probably due to a lack of integrity with yourself, or you're making an emotional or fear-based decision around some type of fire that you feel like can't be put out without you. And so what I want you to do is practice flexing that commitment muscle and saying no to those things and saying like, hey team, I'm committed to these other things right now, so I need you to handle that. If the building catches on fire, call 911, right? Like, we want to practice a radical amount of commitment to our plan every single week. And our ability to stay true to that, our ability to stay grounded in what we've committed to is a superpower. And I can't really explain how important that skill set is. And it gets better and easier with time if you're willing to sit in that discomfort. The first time you do it, you're gonna have to kind of fake it, right? Somebody, there's gonna be a fire that you have to put out, and you're gonna be really committed to your plan, and you're gonna recognize like, oh my goodness, there's this other thing that I really want to get to, and it's gonna be distracting, and everything in your body is gonna tell you that you need to, abort, right? Follow and change direction. And what I'm asking you to do is trust that process and stay really grounded to that. And what you'll do with repetition, you can create a lot more stability and control and meaningful progress in your business when you stay committed. And those distractions will become less intense, but you have to be willing to practice that. So commitment is a big value for me, and that's why it's so important. The greatest display of commitment that I see is how mothers commit to their children. If you ask a mother of a young child, I'm not a mother, but when I see the level of commitment that mothers have to their children, it's inspiring. If you ask any mother and you say, hey, do you love your children? Right? And they're like, of course. What would you do in order to remove that risk of them starving? And they'll tell you, nothing. There's nothing that would stop me, right? It's very quickly. If you had an infant that fell in the river and you walked up in the river, there wouldn't be a lot of hesitation. You're jumping in the river and you're going to save that child, right? And when you think about it like that, there's a level of commitment that's deeply ingrained, and there's an intensity level of commitment that's deeply seated in your soul when you think about that story. And so I want you to attack your plan with similar levels of commitment. Like, let's match that level of intensity with our plan, with what we say is important. And if we can do that on a consistent basis, we'll show up more predictably and reliably for yourself and for your team. By the way, if you are a practice owner, this is a simple breakdown of our time and attention mastery section in our CEO Accelerator program. We help practice owners build a practice that supports the life that they really want. And in order to do that, it's going to take 2 things. It's going to take massive amounts of clarity and radical commitment from you. If you want to learn more about that, shoot me a DM. You can find me all over social media at Dr. Adam Robin, and I can tell you a little bit more about how we may be able to help you in your practice. So here's your project. Take what you learned today and start implementing it. Start small. You don't have to have these massive, grandiose plans. Start very small and start developing these small baby habits. What you'll find is these small commitments and these small consistencies in these habits will lead to massive results for you with practice, but you have to get good at this. This is the secret, guys. This is the secret to everything that you want in your practice and in your life. And I wish there was a magic pill that I could give you, but What I'm telling you is that if you commit to this and if you are serious about moving the needle for yourself in 2025, this is your answer. Take action, and I promise you that you will create more momentum for yourself than you could ever imagine. By the way, if you feel like this was helpful and you want to really push the needle this year, you may want to take a look at your finances. If you find yourself working really, really hard and you have ambition and you have a lot of drive to grow your business and create something meaningful, but you're having a hard time finding the profitability that you need, I want you to click the link to this video here where I break down the 4 financial touch points that you need to make more money in your practice. See you soon.